The arrival of Indian indentured laborers in Mauritius, from exploitation to cultural transformation when slavery was abolished in the British Empire in 1835. Mauritius, a British colony, faced a pivotal crisis. The sugar economy, built on the backs of enslaved Africans, was left without the labor force it had relied on for decades. To preserve profits and avoid paying fair wages to freed slaves, colonial authorities turned to a new system of controlled labor, indentured servitude. From 1834 onward, over 450,000 Indian laborers were brought to Mauritius under contract to work on sugar plantations. Their arrival would mark one of the most significant demographic and cultural transformations in the island, as history laying the foundation for what is today a diverse, vibrant, and resilient nation. The origins of indenture. Replacing slavery with another form of control, the indenture system, sometimes called the new system of slavery, emerged as a workaround to the abolition of traditional slavery. Indian laborers primarily from Bihar and Andhra Pradesh were recruited with promises of good pay, housing, and land. In reality, many were deceived, coerced, or driven by poverty to accept contracts they barely understood. These contracts typically lasted 5 years, after which workers could either return to India at their own expense or most chose to remain on the island, some for economic reasons and others because they had established families or found no viable path back home. Life on the plantations, discipline, survival, and resistance. Once in Indian laborers referred to in colonial records as coolies were subjected to strenuous, monotonous, and underpaid labor. They worked long days cutting sugarcane under intense heat and were housed in poor conditions with minimal medical care. Discipline was strict, with punishment often meted out for minor infractions, including fines, loss of wages, or imprisonment. Despite this, the laborers adapted to their harsh environment and sought strength in shared cultural and religious practices. Many formed support networks, practiced rituals in secrecy, and clung to traditional beliefs in the face of adversity. Resistance came in subtle and open forms: work slowdowns, escapes, and petitions against abuse. Their resilience gradually helped bring attention to the exploitative nature of indenture and fuel reform efforts in later decades. A cultural renaissance in a new land, though the journey began in suffering. Over time, Indian laborers and their descendants reshaped the island's identity. They introduced languages such as Bhojpuri, Hindi, Tamil, and Urdu, built temples and mosques, and preserved a host of traditions including music, food, and festivals like Diwali, Kavadid, and Type. Indian laborers also played a key role in the rise of labor unions, political activism, and education reform during the 20th century. By the time Mauritius gained independence in 1960, Indo-Mauritians had become a political and economic majority, deeply embedded in every layer of society. Legacy, memory, and national recognition. The most enduring symbol of this history is the Aapravasi Ghat in Port Louis, the point of arrival for the first indentured Indians in 1834, declared a UNESCO World Heritage Site in 2006. The site honors the journey, hardship, and contributions of the indentured laborers. It also connects Mauritius to the broader global history of labor migration under colonial rule. Today, Mauritius embraces its multicultural heritage, with Indo-Mauritians making up approximately 68% of the population. Their history is not just about economic contribution but also about cultural endurance, adaptation, and identity formation. The human spirit across the Pani. The arrival of Indian indentured laborers in Mauritius stands as one of the most significant chapters in the island's history. What began as a colonial mechanism to replace enslaved labor evolved into a transformative human migration. These men and women crossed the Pani, the black waters of the Indian Ocean, into the unknown, enduring hardship with quiet strength. Their journey has shaped Mauritius into what it is today, a nation of diversities, resilience, and cultural richness. The indentured laborers did not just build plantations, they helped build a country.